Welcome to our next lesson. This one is on multiplying decimals. So it's going to be very similar to what you saw in elementary school, hopefully more of a review for us. Hopefully you're already good with your traditional multiplication. For this lesson, we do need to use traditional multiplication, but we're going to apply it to our decimal problems now, just like we were doing with adding and subtracting decimals. So you should be looking at your notes that look like this, multiplying decimals. I want you to add in this essential question up top. How is decimal multiplication similar to traditional multiplication? That should be a question you're able to answer by the time we're done with the lesson. And then my next couple of slides are going to take us right through the examples in your notes. So you're following along, you're doing the examples with me, making sure you get all the information into your notes. So remember to use that pause button regularly. Make sure you know and can get all the information down in your notes. Don't feel like you got to keep up with me. Take your time, pause it, rewind it, whatever you need to make sure you're comfortable with the information in the video. So first off, how can we use an estimate to help us find our answer? So an estimate is just kind of rounding our numbers off into nice easy numbers that we can do in our head. Basically, an estimate should be something we can quickly calculate on our own without needing to have anything else for it. Oh, Siri was trying to help me there. No, Siri, I don't need your help. All right, so 5.8. 5.8, that's about 6. 4.1, that's just a little over 4. So that's really just a 4. So a quick estimate says we're going to get an answer somewhere around 24, something very close to that. Here, 3.15, so think $3.15. That's pretty close to $3. Here, 2.9. Well, 2.9 is almost up to 3. So we're really kind of as an estimate doing 3 times 3, so we're going to expect an answer somewhere around 9. So when you're doing decimal multiplication, a good way to check is, what do we expect the answer to be? How big or how small? And that'll help us make sure we're on the right track when it comes to our answer. Now, we go ahead and multiply. Remember, you always start with the first number on the bottom right, and it's going to get multiplied times each of these numbers up top. That's our first row of multiplication. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 5 is 5. Now, we're done multiplying with that 1. We're going to come over and multiply with our 4 now. Remember, every time you start a new row of multiplication, we always want to put in that placeholder 0. So I always think of it as I'm multiplying times the 4, so I want my first number to be under the 4, which means I need to have a 0 here as that placeholder. The real reason is that this 4 is really in the tens place, so it's really like multiplying times 40, not just a 4. So that's why that 0 is always going to be part of our answer. But now I'm going to multiply that 4 times each of my numbers. So 4 times 8 is 32. So I'm going to put 2 down there. I'm going to carry the 3, just like in addition. The ones column goes down, or the ones place goes down, the tens column gets carried over. Then I'm going to do 4 times 5 is 20, plus the little bit that I carried over. So 23. And since it's my last digit, there's nowhere to carry that number to, so I can write down both digits. When I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and add. 8 plus 0 is 8. 5 plus 2 is 7. 3 and 2. And now we go back and think about our estimate. Our estimate said our answer should be somewhere in the range of 24. So think about, where would I put that decimal point to get an answer of close to 24? Well, I put it right here. 23.78 is awfully close to 24. The other way to know is to look at the problem. How many decimal places, how many digits behind the decimal did I have in my problem? Well, I had 1 decimal place here, I had 1 decimal place here, that's 2 decimal places. So that's really why we came over 2 decimal places in our answer. That estimate tries to help me know where it goes, but I can always count those decimal places as well. Next one, 3.15 times 2.9. So you start with that first digit 9. 9 times 5 is 45. Write down the 5, carry the 4. Then 9 times 1 is 9, plus 4 is 13, carry the 1. And then 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 is 28. So some people like to cross out these carry marks as they go to the next row. Some people will erase them. Some people will just write the next one above. Whatever works for you, as long as you can keep your work straight. But now I'm done with the 9, so I want to multiply by my 2. But I always go back to that first number. And then remember what we talked about. That 2 is in that tens place, so I need to fill in with a 0 for that placeholder. I always start with a 0. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, and then 2 times 3 is 6. Now I'm going to add 5 plus 0 is 5, 3 plus 0 is 3, 8 plus 3 is 11, carry the 1, 1 plus 2 plus 6 is 9, and then we go back to put in our decimal point. So I'm going to kind of get rid of my work here just so I can kind of see a little better. We know we wanted an estimate around 9, so it makes sense that my decimal point is going to go right here, 9.135. That's pretty close to my estimate of 9. But why did we put it there? Well, look at the problem. There was 1, 2, 3 digits behind the decimal point in my problem, so I wanted to come over 1, 2, 3 decimal places in my answer. So that estimate can always help remind us in case we ever forget our rules, but that estimate is always a good indication of where to put that decimal point if we need it. So let's try 2 more. So make sure we have our notes here. If they're not already there for you in your notes, don't worry about lining up the decimal points. You're just multiplying the numbers together. Notice the decimal point doesn't need to be lined up. Count how many digits you have after the decimal point. That's how many places you slide the decimal point in your answer. And we'll see that here in a second. So let's do 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 3 is 24. So I did my first row. I'm going to move to my second digit. So that means I got to start that second row with a 0 because I want to move over so my answer is underneath of that 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 3 is 3. And now I add. 8 plus 0 is 8. 0 plus 1 is 1. 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 3 is 5. And then remember, our last step is to go back into the problem and count how many numbers did we have behind my decimal point. 1, 2, 3 decimal places in the problem. So I'm going to come over 1, 2, 3 decimal places with my answer. 5.418. Next one. This one's a big one. We're going to multiply by 3 digits. So here's where you really got to take your time, be careful with your work, and make sure to keep things lined up. So we always start with that first digit. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 3 is 21. Plus 4 is 25. Carry the 2. 7 times 1 is 7. Plus 2 is 9. 7 times 1 is 7. So I'm done multiplying with the 7. I'm going to move over to the 4. So I'm going to start that next row with that placeholder 0 because I'm really multiplying in the tens place. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 2 is 14. Carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. And then 4 times 1 is 4. Remember, anytime I'm carrying, it always goes to the very next number that I'm going to get to. So now I'm done with the 4. So I can cross out my carries, or you can erase them, whatever works for you. And now I want to multiply times my 1. But you're going to notice the 1 is in the hundreds place. I've moved over even one more place. So now I'm going to start the next row with 2 zeros. Every time I start a new row, I'm adding an extra 0 in there because I want to push my answer over into that hundreds place. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. And now I'm going to add them all up. 2 plus 0 is 2. 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 plus 4 is 13. Plus 6 is 19. 1 plus 7 is 8. Plus 5 is 13. Plus 3 is 16. 1 plus 4 plus 1 is 6. And 1. Hopefully you could hear me the whole time. My AirPods kind of cut out there for just a couple seconds. Then I look at the problem. There was 1, 2, 3 decimal places in my problem. So I want to come over 1, 2, 3 decimal places in my answer. And my final answer is 166.992. All right, time for you to try this one on your own. So I want to see, how did you line it up? Go go ahead and multiply it out for yourself. Pause for now. Try it. Tell me what you got for your answer. And then I'll go through my answer and you can compare to see how you did. Okay, but this one's just practice. I just want to see how are you doing. Did you pause it? Are you working on it? All right, so here's how I would set this one up. Remember, you don't need to line up your decimal points. Okay, you're just multiplying away. We really don't even care about the decimal point until after we're done with the problem. So start with that 9. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 0 is 0. Plus 4 is 4. 9 times 6 is 54. Carry the 4. 9 times 0 is 0. Plus 5 is 5. I'm done with my 9. Now I'm going to multiply by my 2. So I'm going to start that second row with my 0. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 2 times 0 is 0. Plus 1 is 1. 2 times 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 2 times 0 is 0. Plus 1 is 1. The next number is just the 0, and it's my last digit. So anything I multiply times 0 is just going to be a whole bunch of zeros. And because it's my last digit, there's really no reason to go ahead and multiply with that 0. It's not going to change anything because all I'm going to get are zeros. So I can go ahead and add. 5 plus 0 is 5. 4 plus 0 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. Oh, that was an ugly 5. 5 plus 2 is 7 and a 1. Now I need to count those decimal places. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal places in my problem. So I come over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal places in my answer. 0.17545. That's my final answer. Hopefully you did well. If not, that's okay. That's why we're going to be practicing. All right. Have a great day.